thanks for joining us today. I'm Ryan Pekin from Oxen Technology, and I'm a cybersecurity consultant. And today we're going to talk about zero trust networking. This is a term that is getting a little bit more mainstream as time goes on. It's been gaining speed, but recently has probably become a little bit more popular because it was part of what was referenced in the President's executive order here recently to have government agencies and those that work with government agencies work towards zero trust security model. So I thought it'd be good to take a little time today to talk about what that is and what that means and how that applies to us. And really, whether you are a government agency or you do or do not work with a government agency, this is a really important framework and concept to understand for anybody that is wanting to secure their network. So there are three main parts to zero trust networking. The first is to verify explicitly. The second is to put in least privileged access. And lastly, it's to consider everything on your network potentially hostile. And so those are the three main components or principles behind zero trust networking. And we're going to talk about those today. You can probably see those seem kind of extreme. This concept of zero trust networking has been around for a very long time, but I think for many was considered overkill when it first came out. And now, obviously, things have changed. Attacks are continuing to rise in frequency and potency in what they're doing. And so now maybe that's not as out there as it was when it was first published. So the main thing about zero trust, we've had really zero trust to the internet, generally speaking, for a long time. That's why we put in firewalls, and that's why we put in spam filters and all of those things, because the bad guys are out there, the good guys are behind the firewall, and we needed something to separate us and make sure that everything inside stays safe. That type of, what is considered fortress mentality is not cutting it today. And so the reality is, even though firewalls, spam filters, and other, security services that are protecting stuff coming in from the outside, that's all good and it reduces risk, but it can't eliminate it. And so as we've matured as a cybersecurity industry, we've kind of come to grips with where we're at right now is we can't have a fortress mentality and stop there. We need to have those outside protection and those barriers as best we can. But the reality is, if somebody wants to get in, there's probably a way in. We have to rethink the way that we approach our networks and the way that we secure things. And I think the piece where zero trust really comes into play and changes a lot is how we deal with things inside the network or inside our own systems, whether that's Office 365 in the cloud or whether that's more of even the traditional network with your server and workstations in an office. It used to be, if you were an employee, you got a username and password to the system, and here is the company share. You can get to all of our resources, and I know you only work in this department, but if you need something from one of the others, it's open to you. It's available because we want you to be efficient, we want you to be productive, and we don't want to put any barriers to you getting your job done. So our main focus for years and years has just been efficiency. How can we make systems accessible, give users the rights to do what they need to do to get their job done, even when dynamics change and they might need to do something different. And so the default standard used to be, allow people to get to everything or almost everything within the network, because we trust our employees. That's why we hired them. We wouldn't have hired them if we didn't trust them. So that was the mentality. But now with identities being stolen, with user accounts being compromised, you can't always know for sure that the person behind there is who they say they are. You don't always know for sure that they're never going to click on that phishing link or never go to that website that downloads the malicious code. We can't ensure those things. So we do, in Zero Trust networking, want to verify explicitly. A huge part of this is knowing who is logging in. And it used to be username and password. Well, if they got the right username and they have the right password, it's got to be the right person, right? Yeah, it used to be, but not anymore. Not anymore. We all know that passwords can be compromised. They're on the dark web. Identities are stolen. All of those things are happening quite frequently. So that's not sufficient. So we do have things like multi-factor authentication, which is a great step towards Zero Trust networking. And so if you can do multi-factor authentication, yep, you got the right username and password, but you're also verifying from your phone that, yep, that was me that logged in. Great step. There's also other data. Where are you logging in from? If you just logged in from Kansas and 10 minutes later you're logging in from Japan or Australia or somewhere, that's pretty suspicious. We probably shouldn't let that go through. And so it's really tying all of that intelligence together and saying, do I really think this is who they say they are? So verifying explicitly, very important. Next is least privileged access. And so this is where, I was talking about, hey, here's the company share, here's all the files. We don't do that anymore. It's actually needs to be the opposite of that. You are denied everything. You don't have access to anything. And then we go, what do you need to perform your job here? And let's get you access to those systems and nothing more. Because if you think about it, if you come on staff at an organization, say you're in the sales department, and you are given access to the sales department's folders instead of everybody's files and folders. If you're hit with ransomware, you'll be glad you have less privilege. You'll be glad to have just access to the sales documents, because if ransomware hits, it's going to hit your computer, and likely it's going to hit all of the sales department's files and folders. And that's bad enough, but at least it's not getting everything. And so we're able to isolate and limit accessibility, not to keep people from doing their job, obviously, but let's not give them access to things that they will never need or never need access to. So lastly, consider everything potentially hostile. The reality is everything could potentially be hostile. So if we proactively think about that when we're installing a new system, when, whether that's a device or some cloud software or anything, if we think about, okay, if this is compromised, if they get into this system, what else can they get into from there? So a couple good examples are like IP phone systems or IP security cameras. You could put all of that right on your corporate network with your server and everything else all on the same network. It will work and everything will function okay. But if the camera system gets hit, you don't want it to get to all the PCs. Or probably more likely, if a PC gets hit, you don't want it getting to the camera system or to the phone system as well. And so if we consider everything hostile or potentially hostile, we can rethink, well, what does that really need access to? Does it really need to be on the network? Can we separate that to some extent? And there's almost always more that we can do to limit its access and segment it and protect our own devices from our other own devices, to be quite honest. So these are the three parts of Zero Trust networking. It is a change of mindset from what we've done for years and years. And so it takes a little bit of work. I will say it's a process. It's not a product. We can't sell you zero trust networking, but we can make modifications and changes and improvements to work you towards that end, to that goal. And so if you're interested in that, want to know more, want to have a conversation, please reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about that. There's so much that we can do to help bring you along, and we'd love to partner with you. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you soon. Thanks.